Hey there, Packers fans. We've got some heated discussions lined up today, and we can't wait to hear your thoughts. But before we dive into it, do us a solid and make sure to like this video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all things Green Bay Packers. The Packers' defensive dilemma, a deeper issue than Joe Barry. Now, the hot topic is the Green Bay Packers defense, and we think it's safe to say that the finger-pointing at defensive coordinator Joe Barry might be a tad off the mark. In Monday night's game, the Packers held the Las Vegas Raiders to just 17 points. Impressive, right? Well, some fans aren't satisfied and have pointed out a few defensive hiccups. For instance, there's the somewhat questionable choice of putting linebacker Preston Smith on one of the NFL's best wide receivers, Davante Adams. Or the Las Vegas Raiders' first touchdown, which involved a defensive scheme that had safeties positioned 10 yards off the line of scrimmage, allowing Jimmy Garoppolo to throw a slant to Jacoby Myers for an easy touchdown. But let's zoom out for a moment. These are the kinds of defenses we've seen from Green Bay year in and year out. It's a scheme that relies on zone coverage and waits for the offense to make a mistake. Is Joe Barry the culprit? Here's where it gets interesting. Joe Barry might not be the one to blame entirely. He's essentially a product of a franchise that hasn't prioritized the defensive side of the ball. Think back to the days of former Packers GM Ted Thompson, who had his fair share of misses when drafting first-rounders for the defensive lineup. But the problem runs deeper. The Packers have been hiring the same defensive coordinators for the past 2 decades. NFL lifers who run an outdated scheme and, more often than not, fail to maximize the talent on defense. This means that for a large part of Aaron Rodgers' career, he had to put up points in heaps because Ted Thompson's draft and develop strategy didn't consistently yield the results they were looking for. Time for a defensive revamp. So what's the game plan for the Green Bay Packers to reclaim their status as a top 5 defense? Here's our 2 cents. Head coach Matt LaFleur can make this happen with a straightforward move. Once this season is in the books, go all in on hiring the best defensive coordinator to elevate Green Bay's defense to an elite level. For years, the Packers had special teams struggles, but they solved that by prioritizing hiring a top-notch special teams coach in Rich Bisaccia back in 2022. And lo and behold, most of those special teams issues vanished into thin air. But the same old defensive problems continue to haunt the Packers. A zone defense that doesn't intimidate anyone, trouble stopping the run over the past decade, and rare defensive turnovers. Fans are frustrated, and they're scrutinizing Joe Barry's defensive alignments like a hawk. Now let's be fair, this isn't all on Joe Barry. Matt LaFleur must weigh his options and think about bringing in a coach who can finally unlock the full potential of Green Bay's defensive talent. After all, it's been 2 decades of running the same scheme and expecting different results. With general manager Brian Gutekunst acquiring key defensive players over the years, it's high time to get a coach who can harness that talent and catapult Green Bay back into the top 5 defensive rankings. This has been an eye-opening discussion, and we want to hear your views. Leave your comments below, and let's keep this Packers conversation rolling. Your likes, comments, and of course, subscriptions keep our Packers community thriving. Go Pack Go!